5 reasons why you need to read the trust deed. Number 4 is to check the vesting date of the trust. Basically, a vesting date clause is needed in Australia, which requires a trust to vest within 80 years of its creation, except for in South Australia. You can usually find the vesting date of the trust in the trust deed. It's sometimes known as a termination date as well. This is an example of a clause. So this is where you can hit pause if you really want to read it, but I will spare the rest of us. And yes, you will find that it is shockingly worded. But this type of... Sorry, just got a text message. But this type of clause is very commonly written this way. And it's, very common in older deeds as well. And it's a straight up snip and paste from an ATO tax ruling from 2018. For all you lawyers out there, what's the story behind this? Seriously, what's going on? The date being the 21 years after the death of the last survivor of the descendants now living of His late Majesty George the number what? I actually really want to know. I've always wondered why. And, please solve this mystery for me by dropping me a line below. I would really appreciate it. So what happens at vesting date? Well, it depends on the deed. Most people think automatically that it's the date that the trust comes to an end and the assets must be distributed to the capital beneficiaries, or the trust disappears and is instead replaced by a new trust. But most of the time, the trust basically flips from being a discretionary trust to a fixed trust. Alright, this might be a bit of an oversimplification, so here's what I mean in detail. Where a discretionary trust has vested, the trustee actually loses its discretionary power to appoint the income or capital to beneficiaries. Instead, the trustee holds the property for these special beneficiaries called takers on vesting. They're kind of like capital beneficiaries, but only at vesting. And these beneficiaries hold a fixed interest in the trust property. So that's a pretty massive change to the trust relationship. And so if you completely miss the vesting date and the trust just continued operating, the trust continues to make distributions of capital here and income there, all these distributions may very well be invalid. The income and capital of the trust should have gone in equal shares to the takers on vesting. And they're the ones that should be paying tax on that income. So imagine if you missed the vesting date, what nasty surprises you may be in for. Also, there could be disastrous CGT consequences if vesting is not planned properly. For example, a new trust could have arisen over the assets, and so there could have been a capital gain made by the vesting trust, which is under CGT event E1. Or the beneficiaries could be absolutely entitled to the assets, which can also give rise to a capital gain in the hands of the vesting trust, under CGT event E5. This video is not about CGT and trusts. No, I will not do that to you without any warning. It's merely to emphasize how important it is to check the deed for the vesting date. Let's go back to timing for a sec. Why 80 years, you might be wondering? That's so random. Well, it's to do with this thing called the rule against perpetuities. It's basically to prevent people from ruling from the grave for too long. Not kidding. It's like really to stop the dead hand from beyond the grave from controlling and tying up their assets for, generation after generation. So the courts decided that trusts should vest within the time frame of a human lifespan. And trusts were basically created as a way for women to own property because they couldn't do it directly back in those days. I know, right? Yay for being born in the 21st century. But so there's no need for the trust to continue after she passes away. But that doesn't mean that all trusts have an expiry date of 80 years. Most deeds will have a vesting date of 80 years. Why not stretch it out for as long as you can, right? But sometimes it could be much shorter, like 20 years or 40 years, or whatever the person drafting the deed fancied at the time, or who they received instructions from. The point is, always check the deed for the vesting date so that it hasn't been passed, or it's not like tomorrow, If the trust is about to vest, then give the lawyers a call. They'll probably check the deed on the trustee obligations on vesting. Some deeds may require the trustee to actually distribute assets and terminate the trust, which could take a lot of planning and time. But some deeds may allow the trustees to hold the property for the takers on vesting. Alternatively, if the trust's vesting date is before 80 years, they'll check the deed because it may allow the trustee to extend the vesting date. But once the vesting date is passed, you can't go back and change it. So it all comes back to reading the deed. I hope you found this tax nugget useful. Next episode is about making beneficiaries presently entitled. Until next week, see ya, bye!